Hi there. Today I want to look at some of my earlier sound design efforts. Specifically from my song as Vin Christine, my song Manticore. The beginning of that song, first off, that song is an instrumental. I wanted it to be more of an exploration of sound and composition than a traditional song. So it has no lyrics. The beginning of that song, about the first minute, a little bit less, but the beginning of that song is really just a soundscape. I constructed that soundscape from multiple adventure recordings. By adventure recordings, I mean I went outdoors and I literally just recorded sounds that were interesting to me. I did that a few different nights and days, to capture some cool wildlife sounds. The goal was, because a manticore is a mythical creature, I wanted to use the sounds of wildlife and alter them in order to make it sound more alien to the listener. What this ended up resulting in was a lot of outdoorsy bird sounds, but with delay and EQ processing to make them sound more alien. There's a lot of pitch shifting too. Let's take a listen. Side note before we begin, I'm going to be superimposing this audio rather than giving you the actual playback. The short answer to why is I get a lot of noise out of my current signal routing setup to capture audio from my DAW. For now, for the sake of getting a project done, I'm going to continue with this. A manticore, being a mythical creature, should sound somehow unfamiliar to the listener, is the root of what happened here. Accomplish that feeling of unfamiliarity, yet still somewhat familiar, this uncanny valley sensation. I started with some adventure recording I did in a forest of bird sounds. There's a lot of delay, reverb, and some EQ shaping to fiddle with them more. But at the root, it's just birds. There's some pitch shifting too that I pre-rendered. The next layer, I wanted, because a manticore is really a man-lion, I wanted something that felt primal. Something that felt like a roar or a growl. And my solution was to actually use a violin bow on my bass guitar. I used a P-bass clone. It's a Washburn SB100, I think. I used a violin bow on the low E string of my bass guitar in order to get this really great growl sound. There's a little bit of delay and other processing on it. But for the most part, it's just shaping, EQ shaping and delay. I absolutely love how that turned out, and I feel like that's one of my more innovative sound design choices when I first really started thinking about sound design. And that's part of what excites me about this song, because this being a soundscape, the beginning of this is really just a sound design exploration. Next, and the last thing that I really want to show you is the cymbal swells. I talked about this in another video, which should come out. I might reschedule it. It should come out after this one. But I used a pair of drum mallets that I made myself using some hooks that I put into the ends of the reverse ends of drumsticks and wrapping old socks around those. That's how I made the mallets. And I used those to achieve this gong-like swell sound using the cymbals on my drum kit. And I am very happy with how those turned out. Ultimately, I'm really proud of how that all came out. The first almost 2 minutes are largely rooted in sound design and exploration of sound before the song ultimately moves into going full force around the 3-minute mark. I do want to remix that song a little bit just to make some different parts more present. I think the cymbal swells could stand to be a little louder. And there's some sections of the song itself that feel a little bit crushed. But otherwise, I think this is a really interesting expression of my sound design and experimentation from a few years ago, and one of my more innovative explorations as I start to think about sound design more seriously. So for more cool sound design and other content, hit that subscribe button and I'll keep the content flowing.